Well, it's difficult for me because of the way I am, and because of my unconventional life, and my unconventional views, and even the way I dress, the way I appear, the fact that I cycle around Brick Lane, in high heels. I'm seen as a bit dangerous when I'm actually quite innocuous, I think. And some people see me as a role model. When I've worked with young people especially, they're like, oh no, it's great because you're working in the creative industries and you're an artist, you're doing it, and maybe I can do it. When I did this project connecting kids with so-called poor kids in Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia and London, particularly the Bengali girls living in the Bosti, in the slums, they were saying, we want to be teachers, we want to be nurses, but we can't because we don't have the money. We've got to work. We've probably got to work in the garments factory. And if this project helps in some way to sort of get me out of this situation, then great. But I knew in my heart that probably it wouldn't. But at least their views are in a book, and maybe somebody will read that book, and maybe they can use this book to raise funds to help them to get, more money for the Bashundara Street Kids project, so they can, get their education. And I'm not being naive. I'm not being sort of. I know my limitations. I know what I can do, and what I can do is I can take photographs and I can conceive projects which I think will have a beneficial effect on the people involved. But I don't profess to be able to change the world, and this is what I can do. And I think you have to be, I keep on using the phrase open, but if a Bengali girl chooses to, go get married, have children, get a job and do all the things that you're supposed to do, fine. But if you want to go be a lesbian, human rights campaigner, anarchist, fine as well. I mean, that's my point. There isn't just one way. The way I am is just as valid as I've had these discussions with my aunt. Oh, you're going to go to hell because you're not been brought up in the right Muslim way, and you don't dress in the right way, and you're all of you partners are Swedish and Belgian and English, and they're not Muslim, and your children are going to go to hell. And I've done projects where I've been filming, and they're like, you're going to go to hell because you're filming, it's against the religion. And I hear this, I'm going to go to hell, a lot because of the way I am, and I find it sort of amusing and slightly disconcerting. So I thought, well, so if I wear a hijab, and if I pray 5 times a day, and if I a good sort of Muslim housewife and a good mother and all of this, then I'm going to go to heaven? What is that? I don't get it. If you want to do that, fine, please. If that makes you happy, go for it. But this is me. This is how I've evolved. It's not how I expected myself to be, but it is a journey, and it's not like everyone has a set path. And I think people constrain themselves, they straitjacket themselves and thinking, well, I've got to do this, and I've got to be that, and I've got to do this. You have to just be. So I can't escape the fact that I'm Bengali and that I'm female and all these things, but I'm lots of other things as well. And I think that's more interesting, to look at that rather than define yourself by your ethnicity and your gender. If you just present yourself as a human being producing wonderful things, that is more interesting conceptually, because then you can relate to other human beings, irrespective of where they're from and their gender. Well, I think it relates back to the other question about cultural identity, gender, and because the three of them allow me to escape that straitjacket, because Fred is Russian, Italian, Maya is mixed, I don't know, Brazilian, French, Bengali, they're all mixed. Sophie, I'm not quite sure if she has an ethnicity, but they're all very, very distinct. The only one who has an ethnicity is Sanchita, and she's probably the least interesting out of all of them. And I think the work will get bigger, more complex. When I say bigger, probably more 30-foot long pieces, where you see all of them working on the same piece. Because sometimes I'm doing a piece and it feels like I'm doing a Sophie piece, and then Maya will intervene. They're all battling now on my work, whereas before they would have distinct styles, and I could very much see that's a Sophie painting, that's a Fred painting. Now I'm doing pieces where Fred will hijack a painting, or Maya will just sort of slip through the back door, and that frees me up in a way. And I just think the work will get more complex, more multi-layered, and potentially have more depth. It's an exciting journey, because I sort of was having to justify all these different styles to people and think, oh, there's something wrong with me because I have this facility. And then you can be labelled with jack of all trades, which is frankly insulting, because if you produce stuff of excellence or to your ability, then how can you be a jack of all trades? So having the four of them, three, including myself, whatever myself is, I think it emancipates you as an artist. And people love the idea, and they're like, yeah, well, I've got a Sophie Maya and Fred, and a friend of mine goes, well, actually I've got a Jim, and so we perform together as Fred and Jim, as two devils, and it seems to me that through being open, other people are admitting that they hear voices and that they see things, and they're not exactly labelled with a schizoaffective disorder, but it just shows how when you're in the office you can be Jonathan Edwards, and then when you're at home you can be Bruce, and we all have different guises, and we all have different voices, and we all have different masks, and we're not these sort of cohesive composite beings, and why should you pretend to be that, and put yourself under that strain? I'm not ashamed of Maya or any of them. I'm aware of the pitfalls of all of them, but that's their beauty, and in a way it allows me to get away with stuff. So if I'm doing overtly sexual work, I'd be like, oh, it was Maya, it's not me. Sanchita's an intellectual, I'm reading books about Tolstoy and Camus. Maya's the slut, so I can just sort of if something anything dark, anything particularly sinister, I'll be like, it's Fred, and it's amusing and it's disconcerting, and people love it. They sometimes think it's a gimmick or I've made it up, but you can't make something as elaborate and detailed as these worlds. I mean, it just you couldn't. So I could have gone the other way and been ashamed and been very just not talked about it, and probably my art would have been a lot poorer for it. I think, because I clearly am quite an unconventional artist, sometimes maybe feel I have to justify myself. Even when you came in, I immediately started thinking, right, I have to explain who I am, I have to explain my position. I have to sort of, give you a mini introduction. And often I will have a standard line that, I've had this strange education, and I've written all these books and made all these films and exhibited all around the world. And once I say that, I sort of feel better. I feel, yeah, okay, I've justified who I am. And if you don't take me seriously as an artist, it's not my problem, but it's very much a sort of, my philosophy is past tense. I don't really talk about what I'm going to do, I talk about what I've done. I'm like, well, I wrote the book, you can go buy it in the shop. The painting, oh, it's done, it's on the wall. That project, oh, I did it back in 2000, because we live in quite a bullshit culture. So my whole philosophy is past tense, and my whole ethos is about producing and being a little bit creative every day. But I do sometimes feel, because of what my dad said, I mean, I'm Asian, so you've got that, you got to be number one, number two, number three isn't good enough, and having 4 degrees and sort of being an overachiever, and even if you overachieve and overproduce, it's still not enough. And that's what gives you the drive and stops you from being complacent. But at the same time, it's a bit of a drain, because it's like, well, when is it enough? And maybe it's not enough until you're dead. And then you're like, well, okay, then I better carry on working, get cracking. So I find it hard meeting other artists and meeting the people that I do. It's a strain, and I'm really happiest. That's why I've left London on my own, anonymous, no makeup, scruffy clothes, paint on my hands, in my hair, with my brush, listening to the radio. And then I feel, yeah, this was about. It's like the Heidegger concept of, the man chopping down the tree and then carving the table, and just spending his life just carving tables. That's very much who I am. Living in the city is a sort of inauthentic existence. I need to be near nature, and I need to be creating, and then I know who I am. When I'm here in London, I'm totally lost, because I'm thinking, I have to fit there, I have to be this, I have to be that, I have to do this, I have to, explain myself in relation now to Runa Islam and Monica Ali and all these people. And I'm like, I don't want to. I don't give a shit. Do you do your thing, I do my thing. But that's a whole London syndrome. That's a whole thing about living in a city. And I think it's to be true, you have to extricate yourself from all of that and forge your meaning.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's what,
Yeah, and I feel, of course you do need some feedback, you do need people, you do need affirmation, but I'm at a point now where, I can look around and I can feel, look at everything I've created. Even if you don't like it, you have to acknowledge the time that's gone into making this work, even if nobody would ever see it, and it would never be acknowledged. It's neither here nor there, it's just, it's out there now. And it's been made with a lot of love and a lot of care and a lot of thought. And then I feel, well, yeah, then I've done my job, and anything else now is just like icing on the cake. And if I can just keep up that momentum, then I've sort of fulfilled my purpose in an otherwise meaningless existence. And I don't need the Turner Prize as affirmation of my worth. So that is sobering, actually. It's reassuring. It is reassuring. And I hope you be interesting to see where you are in 10 years' time. But yeah, it'd be good to get a copy of this, because just to see how it comes across. Whether I'll see it play back and go, oh my god, what a load of pretentious bollocks. Oh no. But I know that I'm not like other artists. I know that I'm not.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not,
Just not.
it comes across immediately, I think.
Yeah, it does, and that's why I think I'm so dangerous. That's why they don't, because it could be, it could just shake up the system, because I'd be like, USP,
Yeah.
what the hell USP? USP up